Okay, data? What is data cleaning? Now, data cleaning is the process of identifying issues in your data, flaws in your data, rectifying those flaws within your data set. Now, most times your data will not come ready for analysis. Depends on where you get data from and how you were able to source condition. Data will not come ready for the analysis you want to do. Now, to make that data useful, you need to go through the process of data cleaning. That can involve number one, finding the issues, but fixing those issues in your data. Now, this issue may include incorrect values, corrupted information, incorrect formatting. When I mean incorrect formatting, maybe the date is not correct or that it should be, maybe this should not be date time, just date, maybe this should be just time, or maybe just year and month. Those are formatting issues, okay? So incorrect formatting is an issue when it comes to data. Having duplicate information is also an issue. Having incomplete record is also an issue, right? Now, this issue, once you identify them, you have to now rectify them. Now, data cleaning is not just administrative task. It's one of the main pillars of data analysis. Now, 60% of the work you are going to do when you're working with data, when you're trying to analyze data cleaning. It depends on the kind of industry you are. Some industry will do a lot of scraping of data. And 80% of the work is data. Most of the data is coming from company, right? But there are some industries where they work with like one that they data, for example, this NGO, this healthcare entity, they are data. Data cleaning is not so good because the system is already in place. The data comes almost in when you put so much work on that. In those kind of situations, you don't spend so much time cleaning data. So depends on your industry, spend at least 80 to 80% of your time on these parts. So the principle of garbage in, garbage out applies to data analysis. The data you use to analyze will determine the kind of result or the output you are going to get. Now I keep making this example. Let's say, for example, I inputted a currency, a revenue figure like 3 times. Automatically, my any analysis I'm going to do from that point on is going to be correct. Let's say sales, I did this, I'm taking it on the 3 times. Now, 200. I went and did the first analysis. Total money generated is it's it's objective. Now, when they check their account, they now see 600. When it's 100, I when now went down. You automatically made it. Because you check the data, check it was actually good for your analysis. Then the data you confirm the information was correct. And this is the what? The duplicate issue. Okay. Now, the quality of the data, like I said, determines the quality of your analysis, your results. Now, when it comes to data cleaning, there are what we call data quality. There's what we call data quality. Data quality. Like in when they are building house, they're going to tell you quality of material, quality of material. They're going to tell them like when you want to wire house. So this wire is 50K, but the quality is not good copper. Copper means with I read the total say. Copper means with aluminium. Cost a lot of things, can need to burn it up. Depends on the kind of battery you are trying to wire. The house can burn up because very resistant can generate a lot of heat and burn the house. So that's what of that quality. Right? Depends on what you are bringing in, the kind of quality you need. I mean, Now, when it comes to data quality, right, what it talks about is the extent to which the data satisfies the need for the analysis of data. Let me say that again. Data quality talks about the extent to which your data will satisfy the need of the analysis you're trying to carry out. Now, some data needs, some analysis needs higher quality than some other analysis. Depends on what you're trying. I think you're trying to do the next learning model. There's a lot of extra work you have to do. Make that data good enough for the analysis you're trying to achieve. Yes. So when it comes to determining if your data is good, there are three main concepts and we need first. The three main concepts. Checking the data is good enough for whatever is. The three main concepts are the three C's. Number one is correctness. Now, correctness talks about if the information is accurate. An example of this would be, let's say, this is supposed to be similar, and I have something like supposed to be numbers, and I have is this accurate? To be accurate. Now, correctness has to do with how accurate the information you're putting in data or the information your data are for your best. Another accuracy issue, another correctness issue. Let's say I have height of people. I have 1.8 meters, 2 meters, I have 1,000. Any human being 1,000 meters. So this is inaccurate. This might be accurate, but this can never be. So this is the correctness issue as well. Okay. Now the next thing is completeness. Now completeness talks about how not in the word completeness. Talks about if the data itself is relevant for the analysis. Now let's say I am doing analysis for sales. Right? I have, let's say the problem I have is the person that made the sales. The salesperson for the salesperson. And these are the only two things I have. Analysis for sales that's money generated and so on. This person small way sales. But I don't have the sales itself. Now with that analysis, with that data, I think most people don't commit to do anything. Not happy. So completeness has to do if the data set you're working with have the necessary for the analysis you are running. Okay. Now completeness is a subjective subjective, meaning that depends on the analysis, depends if the data is complete. There are some data that might be complete for different analysis, or for another analysis type, it will not be the same. So, for example, if I want to analyze know the salesperson, I talk about the salesperson or the let's say the same, right? This is the norm for that. So, which salesperson is selling the most, right? This what this information is the norm for that. So, anything extra, I just extra. I never remove it, or if I want to keep it there. But this column is enough for that. This is fully certified the non-certified. Now we'll go back to sales. Right? Go back to sales. This is one of them. Now we need a column that talks about the actual sales value of the salesperson. Right? So by that definition, this is no longer complete. Now we need to make sure top data to make this particular information. Now that's why I keep saying that completeness is one thing when it comes to data. Be very cognizant of that. That's why at the beginning of any analysis, we want to always define the object. So we only want to know people. And if data is complete enough, form this objective was policy. So that's it for completeness. Now, consistency means that the data you collect must be in the correct format. The formatting must be consistent. So, for example, if I have maybe for the first 10 products, having my currency in euro, the first 10 rows, I'm now having naira, having dollar, so on and so forth. This is not going to fly. Right? Mission and all. If it's going to be euro, it's going to be naira, naira, any other uniform. Same thing with things like this. Now this talks about format issue. Right. When I was defining data, instead of talking about need to change to make sure the formatting is uniform, something like that. Remember, now consistency has to be formatting. Okay, we need to make sure that our formatting across data is the same. I can't have one data where I have euro, another one having dollar, right? Same column. So everything should be okay. These are the three big C's. Now, on most analysis, this will be enough. Okay, this one should be enough. Okay, our project, we are just going to focus on these ones here. But there are some extra data quality dimensions that you can also look at for more in-depth data cleaning. Now, the first one is accuracy. Accuracy talks about the degree to which data completely reflects the real world. Okay. Now, example of this is what I'm talking about height. If we have people's height 1.8, 2 meters, 3 meters, so we have 1,000. It's just reflective of real world. So that is against the accuracy issue. You have to make sure that data fits with what's supposed to be available in the real world. That's for data accuracy. Any questions so far? Try to write this one, so I'll give you the notes. Which is to write what notes here. Right here. Okay. So and this is way to spot success. Maybe you start with let's say most of the let's do this sales. Most of the sales must be what you do with that kind of situation, use data conditional formatting. If the conditional formatting is euro, let's think of it's not marking color. Now when you're showing two colors, to see colors and to see everything just see many colors are different and see this one. And that's you can show. You can filter by color. This one that the color are green like it's okay, I don't want to see that green. Now I don't want to see this one not green. So we said the color for green. I mean, I filter it out so I don't see it. I can have put the other. Yeah. That's the main way to actually spot some of this. You know that. Okay. So let's continue. When we talked about completeness already, so I'm going to skip that one. Completeness talked about if the data there is enough for the analysis we want. It meets the requirement for the analysis without completeness. Consistently talk about the uniformity of the data. If there are different formats on the column, we have data that are formatted different other data. That means that data Other issue you see one is when I'm working with two different data sets. Don't do something like that. I don't. When we get to SQL, Focus. Yeah. So in most cases, when I'm working with started from A to B, maybe I'm working with started at generated, working with like generated. Some cases, it might change its formatting. So I have to standardize it. Like it's even an home. For example, dates are very common. Like in the US, date is month, age, and year. So in UK and Nigeria, we have day, month, and year. Okay? So this is about okay? Now, if you use the US standard, date, you use a grammar, when I want to take both of them and combine them together to make a maybe you are reporting on the same company, maybe it's the same company you're working for, you are working in the US branch, same company you're working in the branch. I want to do a holistic by analysis. I'm using your dates. I need to standardize either this or depending on company's stand, maybe the company advertising this probably would be the national standard for age. I need to standardize this to be the same, combine these two data for this analysis. Now, in this kind of situation, there's no consensus. I have to make sure there is a consensus for my data to be clean for my analysis. I mean, then the next one is validity issue. Now, validity issue talks about the data type. Is the data in that particular column, is it valid? For example, let's say the data that goes to this data goes to whole numbers, and this column goes to whole numbers, right? Any situation where the data that goes to the particular data type or the particular format is not only that particular format, that's this column, that particular column, that data is invalid. Let's look at this as an example. This guy can show numbers. There's one thing that I don't know. This particular context, this data is invalid. I mean, that's the value. So whenever a data does not meet the pool for that particular column, it's automatically regarded as invalid. Now, most times these two guys, invalidity and they kind of work together. When the data is invalid, when it's not inconsistent, they are kind of similar. Just different words for the same thing. Now the next one is business. This is maybe that if your data must be different from the something separating issue your data set from every other role that particular person. That of it. Take order. That is what everything. So when I say something is unique, this everything is different. I mean, now whenever I'm working with them, sales, sales, let's say this is why So this is the fundamental theorem, right? Now, the uniqueness simply means that each of these rows must be something that so that this row is different from this row, this row is different from this row, etc. This row must be unique. Whenever you actually support into a data table, right? Feel like this record must be different from every other previous. That's why you actually so you don't want to be a multiplication. Okay? Now, that's what the test is all about. I don't think that this picture you can see there's no thing that's separate from it. It's also separates this one. Now you can see that this is something like that. But what if there are two people that are in this two is actually valid? Okay. There are people that are in this but they are so 300 right? So this must be different information. Now, the uniqueness tells us that every group cannot be the same. Now, so most of the time, it's not for uniqueness. First thing you do is first of all, check if this duplicate the accuracy. For this example, there are people that are again displayed working is working and they sold something that from the dollar. So this is supposed to be correct. Now, how do we now say ish? What we do most of the time, we have what we call an every new data in our table. Every table tends normally has a requirement. This idea of to separate each row from each. This will not probably be just have one, but just have to make each idea will be unique from this other one. One, two, five. And I separate this set from this one. Three distinct and unique records. So this rule tells us that whenever we enter data into our table, each row must be. And if they are not different, we either ensure that into your findings to check if they are supposed to be different, or if they are indications, you now do what? It's one of the statements. Okay? Is it clear now? So then the last one is timeliness. Timeliness simply tells us that the data you need available when it's needed, that's one, and must be relevant. Let's say I'm going to do analysis for 2025, right? But yeah, the data I'm having, I cannot say, okay, I want to check simple. I don't have to just guess. I wish I 25 to get my value. Just to get 625 to get the 2 million sales. 24 million sales. And 25 maybe like 4 million. Doesn't make sense, right? So the data you're going to do must be timely, must be available as when needed, and must be time in the time frame for that data must be relevant to some that time is not the right time, not the right time. If I want to be the right people make sure that the data is accurate when you carry out your analysis. Information that you require for this, they are not there. But the data, information, you find is there are consistent. Right? You can't have text where number. So this tool does the same thing. You can't have text number. Then the next one, you can't have duplicate on your data. Okay? So the last one, the information there must be timing must be relevant. So we have the right time, cover the right frame. Data must be for the right frame. right time stream that you're trying to analyze for. So these are the six, these are the six data quality dimensions that whenever you are doing this activity. So let's say I give you data now, so this data I want to analyze it. And the first thing you should look at if the information you now go to each of the rows of the column, sorry. Let's say go to the column. This are things of sales. Columns, are they relevant for this data? Every information sort for completeness. I mean, then you go to each of the rows, right? The value there, are they reflective of what's supposed to be in life? Let's say, for example, I have a column for gender. I'm saying, there are those when I'm in English. Then, I'm not saying this is indicative of what's supposed to be in life. Not accurate, I think. You have to have this accurate. So once you have accurate information, you can have to test this for each of you. Sometimes the data cleaning it takes time. You understand? It takes time. Not something like just do except you've done it before. You know exactly what to pay, what to do, and so on and so forth. But most of the time when you do data, you spend a lot of time with it. But any mistake you do in that, even if your other step is 10% correct, the answer you get is not accurate. You have to spend a lot of time. Then once you solve for accuracy, you solve for consistency, like you have solved for accuracy. Okay? So if your data information that don't solve the validity. Okay? So the next one is uniqueness, make sure that you and the last one is timeliness. I think this one you can even solve this one earlier when you are sort of getting the data. I just check the time frame. Okay, it says I need data for 2025. The software that carry you are more than collected, you do the time, you know what is happening. So these are your dimensions you look at whenever you're changing data. Okay, this more breakdown. Read this one. It's what I just said. I'll send you this to. So this is what I just explained. Just a more breakdown version of that. Okay, so when we are cleaning, when we are doing our data cleaning, there's a systemic approach to cleaning data. The first one is auditing data profiling. I said the first thing you do whenever you have data, don't go to take the data, go to the rows, and you go to the column. First thing before you check it, the data is timing, time for the data, relevant to the timing, looking for data. Check it, data, we want to get data time. If it is then don't get short, check the column. If you have got the central, just profile the data, see if you have anything. Okay. Now, once you provide data, you know the issues with that data, right? You go to the next step, which is the actual cleaning. Now, there are different techniques for cleaning data, which I'll talk about shortly. Go to each of the techniques, like imputation of missing data, missing values, um, finding out bias, and so on and so forth. Once you've done that, clean the data, you are now going to verify if what you clean is okay. Most of the time, once you clean, verify, once you do a use one of the data cleaning, right? Go to the next one, clean, verify, clean, verify. So this process, they tend to go hand in hand. Okay? You are cleaning, you are verifying, you are cleaning, you are verifying. Then they allow you to check the tags and everything is okay. Before you now move on to your documentation. In most cases, the issues you see in your data, especially if you're working for a company, right? Let's say, for example, I duplicates. I will screenshot it and I'll write, I saw the duplicates pass from this. Okay, this no, this value, the sales value, the sales person will sometimes source to put a screenshot there. Some of the sales column there were negative values and I have negative sales. So as an error. You'll be documenting it wrong, do wrong, not just write wrong. You might AI to you have to document your errors. Okay? So once you are done with that, you're done with your clinical process, you can move to the next step of your analysis to talk about data. Now let's talk about some of the core techniques. So for now, just take note of this core techniques. So we'll be using them. Okay? We will be using some of them. And the beauty of this notes, I'll be sending to you on WhatsApp. Are you on WhatsApp? Is okay. It's your record on the WhatsApp. So I'll add it to the WhatsApp. We'll see about our own outstanding. So the beauty of this note that is not limited to just self. The concept you are learning is for as long as you are working with data, you always be training data. So you always be using these techniques. So the first technique we use is missing data imputation. Now there are some cases, okay, where the data on a particular column is missing. There's no data there at all. There's no data there at all. Let me give you an example. Let's say this person from which they not put it. And we know that start this sale cannot even do anything. Sale, the analysis of the sales, correct? Start this sale value for this sale. Everything else will go. Right? Now, to fix this, we cannot just do it entire column, but need it. I mean, you can't just do it. That's why this technique comes in. By missing data imputation. Now, in both, where we have three ways we can actually impute data into data. Number one is this. You can use the visual of central treasure. Think about it. What that is. Think about what that is. Your mean and your mean. So if you are working with numerical values, whenever you have a mean simply means the value that is most likely to be. Now, whenever I'm working, right? So mean is just number and that's your mean, right? Now, if you know your mean is number that is likely to occur, since I have nothing here, I can replace this MC value with my mean, and since you know the mean is something that is occur, not through our analysis too far. Although it's not 100% accurate, not through our analysis. So by replacing this value, so leaving it empty. Okay? Then that's one way to use data. If it is for numerical value, and if it is for text-based value, what do we input there instead of it? Buy or I think when we're talking about those three roles, median, standard deviation, data, and so on. I said that don't talk about myself, but this one mention about mode. Yeah? What does mode mean? The value that we want to source, right? So in this one, some we have both. I'm more because this this is which of the next will be good. Right? If something was missing, just to add that particular one that means for this case, I'm not even material. Because this person is not very sure. Most likely, I'm going to yeah, that leads us to the next way of data interpretation. And in a situation where a role has a lot of missing values, missing sales, for example, missing field, missing sales person, missing a lot of things, right? So just living that plan, go there. And I just see this center and work with what I have left. This is okay. That's another way. Whenever you have missing values, if you give your median sorry your clean, you know, when you see your pronoun and the missing value is printed, then the is because of the missing. That will still be a lot of. But I cannot leave missing just cannot leave missing value there. For missing value, there will need to there will square your reading average. Missing value is 20. Okay? Any kind of calculation you are doing, the missing value for minus maybe value in the result. There is some in, it is numerical, I think some mode, right? It's it. There are some cases where you can actually put zero check. Not common. Not not where your calculation. But the most likely most maybe no one. Okay? For data, missing data, so any significant data that don't go, you just put it with either you're playing the board or you just. Now the next one is deduplication. Now, deduplication has been applied. Simply means removing duplication. Okay. Whenever you are removing duplicates, let me just assuming this square right? Information there. And you want to remove the duplicates. Number one thing, like I said, first identify if they are actually duplicates. If they are duplicates, what you do, remove the oldest one, leave the recent one. You get that? So if I enter this first, enter this, and sometimes when I can use a form, maybe this one, and timestamp, if that was entered, yeah, this one was entered 4 p.m. It needs the old one, if the recent, okay? If you want to. Then if you don't have any other, right? Maybe there's no timestamp, just this once upon. Maybe this is the last thing that happened. That so that there's no data. Rule, just before you identify the identifier, if there's actually if there is, you retain the most recent or the most complete record. Now, what do I mean by if this time is this value, then it's not missing this value. If the one that fits the one that just makes sense. Right? So the way you prioritize is complete first. If the old one is complete than the one, you delete the new one, keep the old one, because complete is the most important thing. Okay? And if both of them are complete, and then you can also okay, the one that is in the US be kept, both one will not be kept. Then to drop duplicates, most softwares have different ways of dropping duplicates. So I'll be specific when I'm in Excel, I'll show you how to remove duplicates. Different software, Python has different ways to drop duplicates. I'm not giving any general way of removing duplicates. Where I identify duplicates, different software have a different method. Now the next is outliers. What are outliers? You still remember? What does it mean to be an outlier? Like the definition of the word. These were data. Just what does outlier? Outlier simply means values that are not close to, they are very distant from normal. You understand? So a classic example that you see, wherever analyze the real estate data, the real estate price. There are some houses, most houses you see now, 250, let's say, 400. But some cases you see out from 5 million. Those values are outliers. The houses like that, but they are actually houses. But it's not houses that are very, but most houses are 50 to 100 million. So in this case, our mean will probably be somewhere around 200 million. I mean, an house that's very distant from this 200 million, that's why, for example, that's like 100, very, very far. So that's very far from that. So that, and that's like, and when it comes to data, we have ways of treating outliers. And outlier might be a legit value, and might be, you understand? Now, in this case, the outliers are actual value. Okay? The actual value. But let's say we are talking about height of people. We are seeing the almost height of 1,000, where the average is supposed to be about 1.8, 1.8 meters, 1.5 meters, and 6,000. So that value is outlier, and that outlier in that particular case is not correct. Now, when it comes to dealing with outliers, what we use most of the time, so we use C index and C score, we use interpreter rates for my range. And to identify if an outlier is the key or error, you make knowledge very, very key. Yes, that's why I don't start with it. Then 5 million is not an outlier for legit value, not the error value. Height 1,000 is an error value. If you understand the domain that you're analyzing, represent if an outlier is or is not. Now, the tools for identifying outlier is most common one. Just stick to the computer. Have you ever done it? Once. We do just need to talk about the then the last technique for cleaning your data is data standardization and validation. And this has to do with text. For example, if your data is supposed to be capital letter, give you a small letter, capital letter, right? Regular expressions, for example, if your phone number is supposed to be 234, having something that pattern. Regular expressions simply means patterns. Okay? Pattern. Like you're trying to match a particular pattern. So you can use regular expressions to correct the pattern of your data. If it's not fixing the pattern, just correct that. Then number three is data type conversion. If your data is going to be text, You see mostly in the data. It's both the whole numbers, decimal numbers, if it's supposed to be text and maybe something else, that's back text. These are some of, I think this one is not easy for you to back your data back to the actual standard, the actual value formats for this. We've done something regarding this. So, this one that we've done, but we'll not do this one to get to Python. And I just think that so these are the main techniques: imputing missing data, duplication, finding outliers and imputing outliers, then standardizing your data. Now, in our project, this is what we are going to do. We will work on this, and some of this data standardization. Okay, we'll see after. We have a lot of time. So, any question about data? Let me have some more questions. What's data? Yes. The treat each column as an attribute. Let me explain the concept of table entity and attribute. Most times when we choose a table, the table is an entity. Every entity, like every person, now columns are the entities of attributes. What attributes? Characteristics, anything to describe with objects. If I want to describe event, male, or gender, male, for height, it's not so high, for color, it's not so high. Now, table on its own is called an object, and this object, each column has what we call characters from name, the okay. Now, each this is what I'm actually going to do for columns. Now, each column that's an attribute. That's the kind of data that should be inside of it. Now, when you see the attributes or the column name, what type of data should be expected to be there? Alphabetic name and so on. Now, if I'm treating missing data, let's say this one is empty, right? So we have this. I mean, your question is if I have this and why I will take each attribute. Right? I'll look at what type of data and how are data supposed to be in this particular place. They're supposed to be numbers, they're supposed to be text. You get it? Are you understand what I'm getting? I'll treat each column separately. You know I have different columns. I'll treat each column separately. I know this was the name of someone. Now, for this, if I don't have access to the actual data, the actual, okay, going to do this on him. I want to know where this to ask you. I know this one is correct. Now, for reputation purposes, if I'm in this stage where I need to click data, for this one, we have to make this. Okay. So this staff, one of the most important information in the staff name, I mean, and now I cannot assume name, use someone's name. Assuming name is not a good one. As I said, domain knowledge is also very important. Me and someone who that just there's another person called you know something that Excel is also here. And it doesn't make sense, right? But since I don't know the best using mode to assume it will not make most sense. I'm trying to do the record. I'll go and ask people do the record, what's supposed to be here. So this is the time petition now. What do not work? Doing not work. And the last one is working to read the entire room. Before I do the entire room, if I have access to whoever I can actually ask where they mistake here, share something with them. But most of the time, like if you are working on another about the person implementation, the more you do, you have to value. It doesn't store your money. Okay? And looking at how we have to treat this as a back to what is supposed to be. Now, for gender, most of the time, gender is treated. Same concept we use here. If there is a lot of genders here, I think gender is not really the focal point of this, right? I can ask you if you know if there is either if you know if that maybe the most common gender is male. If you go to think that this is not the one is not the focal point. And most of the times we tend to use gender and get whatever it's collectively. If I want to answer a question on gender, I don't use it individually. I say, okay, we have 20% of staff are male, 40%, 80% are female, right? Or the highest many gender is female, lowest is female. See the concept. I'm using gender not individually, it's using what collective. And in those kind of situations, when I'm putting a value collective, it makes sense to putting mode or medium ability. Now for the name, I'm not using what name collectively most of the time. Right? And for this stack now, what is what the excess? What excess? I don't know if you are getting Lawrence, in there. So end of the at the end of the day, what I'm going to do your basic data column by column, not table level or column by column. Not answer.
No.
Okay.
Fine. You have
What are the 5 or 6 right? Just check it out. What to do? Yeah, time. Yeah. What are the 5 or 6 data quality dimensions? Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay. What are the cases of recycling? Okay. That question will be helpful. Okay. Um, yes. What is the framework? Tell me what are the ways to fix same data? Like three data. What of those when we have yeah, like in particular, like, those are two people. One of the people when they do this, when they do that, it's more than five. And one of the things is to mix now what are the ways to do that? Okay, let me not scratch that. Let's say I have it's like um one row was generated, one of the was generated in okay, each of them like if I'm removing one of them. Like, new one, the other one, instead of the same process. If I have 2 p.m. to come here, now say for the 2 p.m. everything is there, every single column have value, like it's complete. Now in the 4 p.m. one 4 p.m. that 4 by 4 column and on 4 of them is 6. Now which of the type people want to then the argument is basically um, in this America says this is what should I use? This salary. This is compound. This is number. What should I use? Is it mode or me? What of this? What of this one? Gender. What is that flyer? What is the picture? What is that flyer? So yeah. A number that is very distant from the average. Okay. We're going to take the 3 minutes break. We'll come up with start question to the minutes. We'll take short break. It takes minutes now, right? Okay, we'll take 7 minutes. So 11:35 minutes. Okay, everybody. Let's log in. Okay, so in the next 15 minutes, we'll just go over this note and we'll continue from here to tomorrow. So, whenever you're doing analysis, there are steps or stages or whatever processing that every analysis should go through. Right? Now, in this presentation, I'm going to talk about the 6 steps or stages that every analysis should go through. Now, the first step, before you start any kind of analysis project, the first step is you need to ask clear question, why question. You need to ask and define the problem your analysis is going to solve. That's the first step. Before you do any, before you do, let's use a summary formula, let's use Excel, let's use Power BI, let's use Python. The first question is, what problem are we solving? Okay? The goal of any analysis is to solve a particular problem. That's the first step. Now, in this particular stage, there are some things you need to identify. There are some goals you need to identify. The first one is you need to understand your stakeholders' objective. Now, the question is, who is your stakeholder? Stakeholder is any person that your analysis is going to affect. Okay. Now let me give you an example. Let's say Ben has doing running a startup and is going to maybe the startup is a fintech company. Now who does this analysis? They want to do a fintech company that sells, let's say, traders. Who is the stakeholder? The one person that is going to affect your analysis to affect. Then you need to know if this app is going to actually generate money. I mean, the analysis is going to number one affect it. Number two person going to affect it. The market is, let's say the market is traders, like local traders, right? Now your analysis is going to also affect the local traders. I mean, now these are your two stakeholders. Now you should understand what you want and what the markets, right? It's market, those traders, local and right? That point of understanding what we want and the local platform is called clarifying the objective. Okay, that's what you clarify. Okay, what you want to do, this app is really very important. Now, what does the local platform? What do they want? They want an app that probably helps them transfer with USSD very fast and fast. What is it for support? Fast receipts. Just for the fast receipt, automated receipt. Go to the same website, you're going to type your USSD, you're going to type your receipt. Just press one. If you say personality, manually generate receipt based on the transaction you're trying to do. Maybe that's the goal that you want. Now, once you've identified the objective, now you can now identify what we call metrics, success metrics. Success metrics are those key numbers that we look at to know if a particular objective is met. Now, for example, this success metric is the target revenue, for example. That's the success metric as the owner of the business. What they want to know if this particular product will reach, be able to serve the target market. For example, for this business to be successful, it needs to be able to have up to 10,000 users, right? That's no success metric. This user and the number of names is 10,000. So if it's above 10,000, no, if it's below 10,000, not successful. Now that user count the metric that determines if the net is successful for him. Okay? Now, it's only user, right? Now the success metric. Now for the local business, what would their success metric? The success metric might be relative of. Let's stick to the owner of the business. Those success metric is part of user. So your analysis should focus on user, right? Yeah, market cap for that particular service is not for him. Going to be that 1,000. So that's the success metric. So you have to define your success metric. What are the values you do? Now, if the analysis is successful or not successful, you feel that not fail. That's your success metric. Now, once you define your success metric, then you have to pinpoint what we call key questions. Okay? And key questions are those burning questions in the mind of the people. Now, for example, this one objective was check if his product was good. And his success metric now one of the key questions is the total market, total addressable market, or total addressable market, right? Total addressable market is the total quantity of people that can actually use your service. Okay? That's one of the questions. Is the total addressable market, is it big enough to accommodate this? The goal is 10,000. Are there up to 10,000 people that will use this software? And that's your first question. That's the key question. That's one. Number two question. Now you know the total, maybe from your analysis, find out the total number of people up to. Another question that you might have is the total serviceable people. Now, when we have to, if you use the software that solves the fintech, how many people use fintech? For example, we have 80 million people, 80 million people using fintech. So you know, okay, total market cap is not. Another question you might have is total serviceable market. That is not that disabled service, right? Maybe people in general location. Now we will not check how many find calls, how many people can local tech offer set. Let's say you can sell it up to 2 million or 1 million people, right? That's the key question for also total serviceable market. So those are key questions that I'm trying to answer. So in your process of problem definition, first of all, you know the problem, know the metrics, the numbers that he is looking for. Then now know some of the only questions inside of the mind. Right? Total this market, total serviceable market, there are more. You can add as many as you want to. All right? Just have to talk to your stakeholder. Then you also, as you're talking to the markets, right? Do a market so you know what the customers want, what are their key issues. They want they want something that does bank description for them automatically. They will not do your research and all. So those are key questions. Are they looking for bank description? Are they looking for USSD solution? So those are your key questions that you find out which your next. So you identify them. So once you're done with these 3 things, you are done with the first stage of or the first step of your analysis. You don't just jump. Say do analysis for me, just jump, find data. You need to analyze. No. Identify this, identify the problem, the metrics, and some key questions. Now, once you have this problem, metrics, and with this, you know the type of data you need. You now know, okay, I need, for me, so example, I need to get, let's say, market data for fintech. I need to go to maybe Google Play Store and see total downloads for all the fintech apps. Distribute that data. I need to do a survey with all the general survey around that market, what the kind of service they are interested in, right? So the problem you're trying to solve, determine the type of data you're going to get and how you're going to get that data. Now, the next stage is called the prepare stage. First one is called the ask. Second one is called the prepare. Every stage has to be collecting and understanding your data. Now, once you know the problem, you cannot know, okay, when can I get this data? Can I absorb it? Can I get another source? Or do I need to go and collect it myself? We have two types of data. We have internal data, the one you generate yourself. We have external data, the one you collect from other people. Some people collect it from database and external database, like company database, from an API, right? Those are external. And internal involves your pay, information your company has generated over time, right? Depending on what you want. Then you need to ensure your data is in the right structure. It's structured, is it semi-structured, is it unstructured? Now that will determine if you are going to clean and how you are going to clean that data. And the next is your access to the data. Now, any data you want, you need to make sure that the data you are collecting, you have access to it. Ask for permission, not just one people. Yes, the current data, NCP, like that. Share the data, and that's the data policy. Whenever you are collecting data, you have to make sure that it does not collect people's personal data without their permission. So you need to make sure that you have access, both legal and otherwise. Okay. Now, once you collect the data, since you know what you want to, know how to get your data, you collected the data. Now, the next step is processing step. Now, this step has to do with cleaning your data. 60% of your work should be here. If you ask the right question, collecting should not be so hard, depending on where you want to start. I can do something that would take time. So, if you are doing the independent, you are doing something by yourself, it's going to take time. And the beauty of doing something that your pay might not be so much. But if you collected the data and you want to start working on it, you have to go through the process of cleaning. You talk about putting it constantly, moving to the standardizing, and so on and so forth. Right? But this is about this happening. Right? So this is the next step. And when you're done with your data cleaning, when you're not going to go to your data analysis proper. Now this analysis has to do with applying the analytical method to get insights from your data. Now this involves using things like tables or data tools like Excel, Power BI, and so on and so forth. Visualization and so on and so forth. To understand and communicate your data to get the insight from your data. Now, after you're done with your analysis, the next step is to share your data. Analysis involves data collection. So that the analysis process involves your data representation as well. When you are done with that, you cannot use any of this need for sharing your data. Now, the fifth step, sometimes it's not the last step, okay? But I don't like sharing the last step. Sharing, how you have to communicate what you found out from your data. You have to communicate with whoever your stakeholder is. And there are three ways you can effectively communicate. One is using the dashboard. The dashboards are dynamic. The dashboards are dynamic and prioritize real time. The dashboard are to communicate for real time. Then you have reports. Reports are like documents. Any one report. Yes, yes. dashboards are more dynamic. You can actually play around with the chart, with your filters, your sliders, and so on. While reports are static, the static design with more deep insight into the data analysis and finding. So this is the report. This is the report. Looks like a normal project work when you don't report, right? To find this. That's the report. Then the last one is presentation. Presentation is something like this, where you take the key part and communicate it using presentation software such as PowerPoint, Google Slides, and so on and so forth. Now, this is it. So you can choose any of these methods to communicate or share your data. Now, it depends who you are communicating with. Another key thing. If I'm communicating with someone that knows little bit about how data to work, I will use a dashboard. Maybe have an idea of how Power BI and how Tableau work. But you are not so data inclined, I will use a dashboard. Okay? If I'm communicating with someone that is more data inclined, I want to know the deep part about everything I just did, I will use a report. If I'm communicating with high level people, they don't know anything about data. They just want to know what you found out. Don't tell me what you found out, let me I come and present them to do my presentation. Any of the presentations like the PowerPoint, like the Google slide, and so on and so forth. To communicate my findings. So it's dependent on your audience, determine the type of the way you share. Okay? So reports are more detailed. Now, for your project, you will do a combination of this, and okay, we'll do this one now. This and this. You do a dashboard. For this example, you do a dashboard. Then do a report. For SQL, we are going to do a presentation. Don't do a report. Just do a presentation for your SQL. Then the last stage is the act stage. Now, once you're done sharing, the ultimate goal for any analysis so that you will act on this. So the act stage simply involves having a combination that you can actually work with. Then create a system where you can give them the recommendation, monitor the recommendation, and improve the recommendation using further analysis. So the analysis process doesn't just end when you are done with your most likely your recommendation will come, they will implement it. Once you are done with the implementation, you now do other analysis to check if for the success or if for the failure. And let's give an example. Wanted to start with fintech, analysis, everything is okay. We have the market, this is the kind of fishing for USSD and bank transfer, so on and so forth. You give him a strategy for implementation. Implement it, he launches, he will not track. Did everything meet up with the standard that we projected? If it did not, why? If it did, okay, what are we going to do? Process goes on and on, so on and so forth. Until maybe they change it from that row, or maybe they change the tax. Those are your 6 stages or your 6 steps when it comes to any analysis. Now, mind you, we will mostly, because of the nature of class, you're not doing anything in real time. Mostly just do step 1 to step 5. Okay? But you will still give me recommendation for who to monitor or who monitoring, no, we will do beneficial analysis. But you can't do it. Okay? So that is the end of this class. So any question based on this? So mind you, keep this here at the back of your mind. Any analysis you are going to do, I'm not going to do it. So it's not something that you're going to use this. And this step was presented by people who made this step. This different company have different steps. This is Google on the okay. Yes, I'm going to get This one, other, I think it's so. Any question? Well, I think it's not. Questions? Since there's no question, yes. Yes, yes, yes. You add your recommendation to your presentation. You understand? That is your recommendations are going to be on your presentation. If it's presentation you are doing, and if it's report you are doing, it's also going to be there. The only one that don't tend to have recommendation is your dashboard. That's why your dashboard is mostly used in combination with either reports or presentation. Yes. Yes. That's when I say you will not be able to do. They should skip it because I don't know if I don't know if it's exactly down. Just screenshot it and send it to me. There's one question there that can't do it because something covered the question. The is it that one? Mm. Yeah, yeah, show me now. Show me. Let me see. You seen it? I like it. Yeah, you try to reset it. If you use is this one I use? This one. Then if display yes, this is if you use it, what does this do? Much better than today. No, they yes, and this. All of this, all of them do. But you have to use this have to actually this data. Yeah, one and five. They are not close to this information is saying what you get to your next dates based on the dates you are looking at fast and assume the next step. If I use this date, data past it, and hold dates, they are not using it, no, and then choose the next. So none of these things I like to. You have to use this date or any data the next 7 days from this. That's why you have them. So you're using your date on your laptop, current date on your laptop, to do that formula. That's not the one I would say you have problem with.